All of my content is also posted on 5colorcombo.com, a great website for all of your Magic the Gathering needs, including articles, podcasts, and custom Magic the Gathering tokens and playmats. As a subscriber to my channel, you can use the discount code NEETSAHONE5 for a 5% discount in their store. You can find the link in the description below. Hello everyone, I'm Neetsahone, and it is Monday, and that means it's time for my weekly draft video, and we opened a spicy first card here. So we're doing Kaladesh, obviously. The annoying thing about this pack, I mean, you can't really complain about first pick Chandra, but I'm going to complain, and that is that there's two really, really good red cards, which will probably be the second and third card out of this pack. So two people to our left will probably also be in red. So we need to keep in mind there's an unfortunate chance that we may not be able to play Chandra, which has happened to me before, which is kind of sad. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But obviously we take Chandra. She's worth a lot of tickets, in addition to the fact that Welding Sparks and Harness Lightning, while good, aren't quite as good as Chandra. I would take her over them anyway, even if she wasn't worth a lot. So we'll have to see. I hope we can play her. It sucks that Harness Lightning and Welding Sparks had to be in that pack. It means three people are going to be fighting over red pretty hard, because they'll be like, oh, nobody took Harness Lightning, they must not be in red, and oh, nobody took Welding Sparks. But in reality, there were three ridiculous red cards in that pack. So that happens sometimes. Signals aren't always clear. They usually are. Like, usually you would be right with that assumption. But in this case, I don't think you are. Okay. What we can do is try to cut red as much as we can. And this pack doesn't have much good in the way of red. So we could take the Ether Torch Renegade, who is the good red card. But Marionette Master is also really strong. But I am thinking of trying as hard as I can to play Chandra here. And cutting red may be the way to do that. But Marionette Master is a card I like a lot. You can do some silly things with it. But I do think I'll take the Renegade here. If there wasn't like a good red card here, I probably would take the Marionette Master. Gear Seeker Serpent and Glint Sleeve Artisan are also cards I'd probably consider, as well as Experimental Aviator. But we'll take the Renegade. Okay, well, there might be people to our right fighting over red as well, but the fact we got a third pick revoke privileges is a pretty good sign. I do like the modules for the most part, although I think this one's probably the weakest of the three modules, but it's still pretty sweet. Dai Young's fine. There's no good red here, of course, but we'll take revoke privileges. One of the better commons in the format. I mean, the worst case scenario is that we get back most of the value of the draft without even managing to win a single match because of having Chandra. So, you know, I think that value was worth taking her. Okay, well, here we have a Kujira Seed Sculptor, Kujar rather, which is pretty strong. However, we also have Malphus Doorbuster and Chandra's Pyro Helix, both of which I think are strong red cards. They do kind of want you in an aggressive deck. Well, the Doorbuster does. The Pyro Helix isn't as good as it looks in this format. You very rarely 2-for-1 with it. There's just a lot of big creatures. So I think I'm actually going to lead towards taking the Doorbuster over the Pyro Helix here. I think we should try to cut red as much as we can so the people to our left abandon it altogether, meaning in the next pack we actually get past some decent red. And the fact that we'll be getting the first look at red cards in pack 3 as well is pretty good. But it's not so good that the red cards keep not really being around when we get here. I mean, Wayward Giant's fine. I could think about cutting it and really telling people to our left that red is taken. And maybe I will do that. I mean, the other Doomed Operative's probably the best card in this pack. Bastion Mastodon's fine, but I guess I'll take the Giant. I feel fine usually playing one in a red deck, and we're continuing to cut red. It's going to suck if somehow someone else also opened up some crazy red cards and everyone's trying to be in red. But Chandra's powerful enough that I think you should try to force her, basically. If by the end of this pack we're not seeing any red cards, we'll probably have to abandon her and these other cards, which will be a little bit risky, but you can recover from that sometimes. So no real red here. However, there is a Weld Fast Monitor. There's also a Fragmentize, which is fine. And I also like Subtle Strike, but we're going to take another red card. It's a perfectly reasonable red card, too. It's a pretty good one. So we'll take it. Again, even though it's not a real red card, we'll take it. We're not seeing anything to indicate other colors are like stupid open. I think maybe black could be pretty open, though. The Doomed Operative there is a decent indicator of that. So that's something to keep in mind. We did get a kind of late revoke privileges. So we'll just have to see. Right now our curve's not looking too aggressive. And here we could take a red sideboard card, but I'm not going to do that. Don't worry. I realize now that maybe forcing red won't work out. But there is a good green card here in Riparian Tiger and a solid black card. Man, if I knew I was going to actually be able to play the Renegade, the Thriving Rats would get a lot better. But I guess Riparian Tiger works with it as well. And I think the Tiger is just a stronger card. It's a great finisher in this format, so I'll take it here. Okay. Wild Wanderer is a pretty good card, and I guess if we got enough of those, we could try to splash Chandra. Don't think I want to, but I will take the Wild Wanderer. It's going to be good for us, especially because we tried to play red this whole first pack, and it'll help us sort of recover and maybe even play some of the red cards we have taken. But yeah, we are out of luck, I think, on trying to make red work. But we'll see. Maybe because the people to our left have abandoned it as well, red will end up being open enough, but we'll just have to see. Takedown is a strong sideboard card. Rush of Vitality is pretty good as well. Blade Master's okay. I could just take this because I know I can play it in anything, but I think I'll take the strong sideboard card and Takedown. Okay, well, these red cards coming back isn't the worst signal, but none of them are incredible exactly. You know, we already have one giant. I think I just take another Wild Wanderer here. And I guess I'll take another takedown for my sideboard. I think green's pretty open if the Wanderers are making it. Wow, all the takedowns. I guess here, I don't really need 3 takedowns for my sideboard. I'll take the blue card. That's actually a creature. And I'll take Hazardous Conditions. Alright, so we have to try to see what is actually open here. We could be green-white. No matter what, we can basically already splash, like Revoke Privileges. We already have 2 Wild Wanderers, and that sets up some good fixing as long as we're base green. So let's sort by color here since things kind of went crazy there. You know, if I'm not actually red, I probably don't play that. The other 3 cards are pretty good red cards, though. Okay. So, what do we have here? We have Hunt the Weak, which is pretty strong. We have creatures that are solid with it already, like Wanderers and definitely Riparian Tiger. It also has some +1/+1 counter synergies. There's also a Pima Outrider, which is quite strong. Do I like Hunt the Weak more than Pima Outrider? I think because I don't have a lot of removal right now, I probably do. There's a Spontaneous Artist, which is a decent red card. So I could continue trying to force red, but I think we got a pretty good sign that we should abandon it. If we see some crazy red cards, maybe we rethink it, and maybe, like, if I pick up, like, 4 Wild Wanderers or something nuts, I might try to make Chandra work, just because this will be the second time I've drafted her and been unable to play her. So, but we'll take Hunt the Weak there. Okay, so Attune with the Ether can also help us splash. There are some other good red cards here. Oh, wait a second, there's a Cultivator's Caravan. That's kind of crazy that got passed. It helps you splash, and it's a big monster, so we definitely want that, even over Revoke Privileges, which we wouldn't mind. But we'll take Cultivator's Caravan. Maybe everything will work out and we'll be able to splash whatever we want. So here's another Revoke Privileges. I think I take that here. Whirler Virtuoso and Cloud Blazer are both very strong gold cards, but Revoke Privileges is really good. So is Propeller Pioneer, but I'm going to take the removal first. Okay, so decent red card, but, well, maybe even more than decent. So if we ended up with energy, we could do some +1/+1 counter things. We could also pick up a Self-Assembler and try to pick up a second one. Pick up an Ibex. But I think I'm going to take the Assembler. It'll show up in any deck we play because it's colorless. And right now, I mean, I guess it's looking like we're probably green-white. We do have 3 pieces of fixing, which is pretty good, between our Cultivator's Caravan and 2 Wanderers. Will that enable me to splash a Chandra? Maybe. So we can stick her over here and try to make that work. And, you know, for splashing, the Monitor can probably be played as well, because it's a 3-mana 3/2 with upside if you can actually make red mana. So we'll have to see how the rest of this draft goes to make a decision here. Pretty crazy that Caravan's a pretty nice card. Maybe it was a pack with a foil mythic or something. Wow. Blue, huh? Another Doomed Operative as well. Well, what are the signals telling us? Well, they're definitely telling us blue is open. And we do have the ability to splash, so splashing an Aether Meltdown isn't really that hard. So I guess it's what I'll take. Gear Seeker's a little harder to splash, obviously. So we'll take the Aether Meltdown, though. It's a strong blue card. Okay, we'll take a Propeller Pioneer here and try to make our deck into a white deck. White-green as its base. And picking up Fixing along the way and basically just splashing any good cards we see. It's too bad we don't have a way of splashing Whirler Virtuoso, really. Dai Young being here, another solid card. But I think it's about on par with Impeccable Timing, and we'll take the Impeccable Timing since we've already we already have mostly white cards here. Okay, Chandra's Pyrohelix is a solid red card. And we could end up switching into a red-green deck that splashes a couple colors, just so he can play Chandra, which isn't the worst plan. Yeah, let's take Chandra's Pyrohelix here. Like, we end up splashing white for 2 Revoke Privileges instead, for example. And this also means we get to bring back in all of these decent to good red cards, which isn't the worst. We could splash the 2 Revoke Privileges with relative ease with what we've got already. We take Appetite for the Unnatural here. I mean, I don't hate this. Doorbuster's not going to be as good in our deck as it would be in a deck where we had like all the thriving grubs in the world and things like that, but it's still not bad. And we can leave these over here and think about it one way or another. And we also have Aether Meltdown to think about splashing, but obviously Revoke Privileges is just way better than Aether Meltdown. Although the Aether Meltdown's a solid card, especially when you have a few energy synergies like Aether Torch Renegade and Riparian Tiger. A couple good sideboard cards as well. And yeah, I mean, this looks solid to me, really. Don't really want to splash like a conditional removal spell like Impeccable Timing, and probably not Propeller Pioneer either. But right now, with 2 Wild Wanderers and a Cultivator's Caravan, I would just run 1 Plains and feel fine about running 2 Revoke Privileges on the splash. So we could take another Wayward Giant, which is probably just what we do here, over taking like Acrobatic Maneuver, which doesn't do a lot in our deck, or Engineered Might, which also won't do a lot in our deck. So we'll take a Wayward. Yeah, we'll take the Giant here. We'll take Inventor's Goggles here over all this other nonsense. Yeah, we'll take this. It's not the worst against decks that are trying to kill you with board pump effects going wide with servos, because you can just sort of blank their whole turn sometimes. So Self-Assembler is not going to make our deck unless we end up with another Self-Assembler. Demolish is a medium sideboard card. I'll take it. Another Weldfast Wingsmith. Okay. Green didn't appear especially open in that pack, so weird signals. But the good news is having 2 Wild Wanderers and a Cultivator's Caravan can sort of help us get out of, having problems reading what's going on here. Wow, Smuggler's Copter too. Well, I made all the money back on the draft, at least, in the event that this one goes completely south. I think you got to take the Copter, even though we don't have a ton of creatures right now, and Arborback Stomper is, in fact, very good. I think you got to take the Copter between the ticket value and how good it is as well. I mean, it's pretty good. I wouldn't mind getting back even like a Narnum Cobra or a High Spire Artisan. No way the Arborback Stomper comes back, though. Still needs some low curve pretty badly. Let's just stick these over here and put you guys over here too. Just assume we're not going to get the Self-Assembler for now. Okay, well, that's a pretty good black card. There's the second Self-Assembler, though. Also a Shrewd Negotiation, which can be nice, but we don't really have a lot of servos, so it's not incredible. I probably just take a second Self-Assembler, which means this guy comes back. We are stacked at 5, but we can basically, we can cut Wayward Giant for Self-Assembler, bar Self-Assemblers, and feel pretty good about it, I think. Makes our deck less red, but that's okay. So, I don't think we have any Artificers at this point. Rogue. Card's still playable without them, but it's obviously better when you have some. This is an Artificer over here, the Propeller Pioneer, but not sure we'll be playing it. I mean, we can still shift into a different deck if we wanted to. I think we do want to be base green no matter what, but yeah, Nature's Way is a very strong green card, and I guess it's what we take here. Animation Module's good, but we don't have like any Fabricate really, so I don't think we take it. We're going to take Nature's Way here. It's a very strong green card, one of the strongest uncommons in the format, I think, so I'm happy with that. We could maybe run like one main board takedown without it being too terrible. If we end up being low on playables because we've been moving around. And we could, yeah, I mean, a Wayward Giant could make it too. So we need to pick up several more cards that are preferably creatures, but we could also, I guess, just be a control deck. But our cards like Hunt the Weak and Nature's Way are definitely worse if you don't have a decent number of creatures. So maybe we got to just pick up a 2-drop here in desperation instead of picking up Hunt the Weak or Chandra's Pyrohelix. Yeah. No, I think I'm going to take a Helix. I mean, it gives us a way to interact with early creatures at least. Right now our deck doesn't have any of its own early creatures, so maybe we don't have a ton of creatures. Maybe we can't play Hunt the Weak. But I think we probably can. I mean, it's pretty solid with our 5s at least. Like, we can use them to kill things. We can crew our Cultivator's Caravan and use it. I mean, that's again kind of an issue because we do need creatures to crew these things, although this is ridiculously easy to crew, but yeah. So here's a Thriving Grubs. That's the kind of thing I need, I think, really badly right now. While Spontaneous Artist is good, I mean, we have enough 4-drops as is. Attune with Ether is nice, and it could help us splash even easier. But I think we're already fine on the splash, so I'm going to take Thriving Grubs here because we really need some 2s. And it's a solid one. It's not a super exciting one, but it's solid. It does seem like red is flowing pretty well. That cutting it in the first pack may have been a good plan because it's paying off now, at least a little bit. Hopefully we don't have to play a main board takedown, and hopefully maybe not Wayward Giant either. Okay, well there's another Hunt the Weak. All the Hunt the Weaks. But we could take Fateful Showdown, which isn't a terrible card by any means. There's also a Fire Fortress Puzzle Knot, which is kind of, you know, it's okay-ish. But our Pyrohelix is just like a way better version of it. Fateful Showdown or Hunt the Weak, which is not great in our deck because of our lack of creatures. I guess it's got to be Fateful Showdown, right? Help us draw our Chandra. A lot of the times it'll just be paying 4 to do like 2 damage to something, which isn't the most exciting thing to do. But you also get to reload your hand. So, but yeah, I don't love playing Hunt the Weak or Nature's Way in a deck with so few creatures. But it may just happen. Well, okay, you're out of here, Wayward Giant, because we get a second Riparian Tiger, who's just way better than Wayward Giant is, or ever will be. For sure. So for now, I guess we're playing Hunt the Weak. Nature's Way is at least... Like, Hunt the Weak, the bad news about it is it's really only going to be able to kill things with our higher curve creatures. And that's not great for us. It can still kill things, but not super consistently. Do we want a third Pyrohelix or a Quicksmith Genius? I think I'm leaning towards the Genius. We have a few cards that'll let us loot. Also an Artificer, for what that's worth. There's a Sage here, but I think the Quicksmith Genius is just better. And definitely better than a third Chandra's Pyrohelix in this case. Gives us a creature who can, on its own... Hey, this did end up wheeling. I don't mind that. Yeah, we'll take a Highspire Artisan as well. Yeah, I mean... Guess I have this as a sideboard card if I decide I wanted it. Same thing here. Another Demolish. Creeping Mold, I guess, is just way more flexible. Demolish, so we'll take that instead. Terror of the Fairgrounds, Terror of the Fairgrounds, Tezzeret's Ambition. And we really only need to cut one card, and I think we might have decently enough gotten there. I think red ended up being open enough, despite the stupid pack we opened that was just filled with good red cards. Our deck does have some issues, and that is, like, Malphus Doorbuster's not going to actually be that great in our deck in most scenarios. It's just going to be like a 4-mana 4/2 with a little bit of upside, instead of being like a 4-mana 4/2 that means my opponent's taking lethal on the next turn, which is where you really want him. But I think we did a pretty good job on the whole. We have strong green cards. We have strong red cards. Did it just double our Highspire Artisans? It did. The joys of Magic Online. It'll probably make me restart everything because of that. So I am actually going to pause and then come back to build my deck. Alright, so it stuck everything up there, but I think we can manage. Yeah, that happens sometimes if you're like clicking a card when it goes to the deck building, and it's not like you can like cheat the system and get 2 Highspire Artisans, because no matter what, even if you're not using both of them, it's like this isn't a legal deck, so you need to start over. So anyway, so we bring in Nature's Way, Appetite for the Unnatural, the Highspire Artisan, who we only have one of. Maybe Hunt the Weak. Maybe we don't put that in, but we definitely put these things all in there. Those are green cards. We have some artifacts we want to play. Then we have red cards we want to play. Malphus Doorbuster, Chandra, Fateful Showdown. And we can play 2 more cards. We can do... Oh, that's right. We want to splash these 2 Revoke Privileges, which I think we're fine doing. And I think this is basically our deck. It's pretty much actually a curve, which is probably not a bad thing. Yeah, I think this is what we want to be doing. We get to play the super powerful Chandra, which is cool. And we can get away with 1 Plains. And that's what we'll do. It wants us to play 2 Plains. I will not. And do I want to go 8/7 here? More mountains than forests? Maybe I do. I do need double red, but I also need double green, and our green cards can actually get us our red. So I think I'm going to go 7/8 instead. And somehow I didn't include enough lands. Oh, because, yeah. So we can actually just go 8/8. Which I think is a good call. Yeah, we'll go 8/8. 8/8/1, and I think that's good. All right, well, we'll see how this deck fares. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.